The arrival. The rain had been falling in silver sheets all evening, drenching the city in its restless pulse. It wasn't the kind of drizzle that whispered. It was the kind that shouted. It hammered the windshield of the sleek black SUV pulling up to the marble-lit entrance of the Meridian Grand Hotel, one of Atlanta's most prestigious boutique properties. Inside the vehicle, Vanessa Moore leaned forward, her reflection caught in the window. Her eyes, tired yet steady, traced the glow of her own name etched into the hotel's golden signage. The Meridian Grand, owned by Moore Legacy Holdings. Her company, her dream, her blood. She'd been away for nearly 6 months, expanding her foundation's outreach projects in South Africa, finalizing new investor deals, and putting together scholarships for underprivileged girls who reminded her of herself at 16, hungry, brilliant, unseen. This was supposed to be her quiet return home, a night to rest, to walk the halls she built, and feel again the hum of what she had created from nothing. But the universe had different plans. Vanessa stepped out of the car, heels clicking against wet marble, her long coat fluttering behind her like a banner of command. The doorman, new she noticed, didn't move to help her with her bag. He stood stiffly beneath the awning, eyes glazed with disinterest. She gave a polite smile. "Good evening. I have a reservation under the name Vanessa Moore." The man blinked, then looked her up and down. "Reservation name again?" "Vanessa Moore," she repeated, softer but firmer this time. "Owner of the property." The man gave a short, skeptical laugh. "Owner, huh? Right." He didn't reach for the handle. "You can check in at the front desk, ma'am. But you'll need ID. Strict policy." There was a tone there, one she'd heard 1,000 times before. "Prove you belong." She ignored the sting and walked past him into the grand lobby, her heels echoing against the marble floors. The lobby shimmered under chandeliers shaped like cascading teardrops. Every corner whispered luxury. Every fabric, every light placement had once passed through her hands. It was hers. Every inch. Yet as she stepped up to the reception desk, the young woman behind it barely glanced up from her monitor. "Welcome to the Meridian Grand," the receptionist droned. "Do you have a reservation?" "Yes," Vanessa said, pulling her card holder from her purse. "Vanessa Moore." The woman's fingers froze over the keyboard, then tapped a few keys. She frowned. "I'm sorry, but I don't see that name on our system." Vanessa tilted her head slightly. "That can't be right. Try under Moore Legacy Holdings." The receptionist's frown deepened. "Still nothing. Are you sure this is the right hotel?" Now Vanessa's composure began to strain. "I'm quite sure." "I built it." The woman looked up, finally meeting her gaze, her expression a cocktail of disbelief and subtle contempt. "Ma'am," she said slowly, "I'm going to need some ID." Of course. Vanessa handed over her driver's license and company card, both bearing her name and photo. The receptionist took them gingerly, examined them for all of 5 seconds, then gave a short, dismissive chuckle. "Miss Moore, these look homemade?" Vanessa blinked. "Excuse me?" I said, "They don't look official. We get this all the time, people pretending to be guests or owners, especially on weekends." She leaned back, crossing her arms. "I can't check you in without valid ID." Behind Vanessa, 2 other guests glanced over, curiosity flickering. A security guard shifted from his post near the elevator, watching. Vanessa took a slow breath, her voice even. "Young lady, I assure you, this is my hotel. You can call the general manager, Henry Walsh. He's worked here for 6 years. The receptionist hesitated, then smirked. "Mr. Walsh doesn't take calls from guests." "I'm not a guest," Vanessa said, her patience slipping. "I'm his employer." "Right," the woman said. "And I'm Beyoncé." She pushed the ID back across the counter. "If you don't leave the lobby, I'll have to call security." The sting of those words hit harder than she expected. It wasn't the first time she'd been doubted, dismissed, or made to prove her worth. But here, in a building she'd poured her soul into, it cut deeper. The security guard stepped forward, his tone polite but firm. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to step aside." Vanessa turned to him. "Do you know who I am?" "Not personally," he said, adjusting his belt. "But I know you don't have a reservation." The air in the lobby thickened. Guests paused their conversations. The doorman, now inside, folded his arms, watching with a smirk. And Vanessa Moore, the visionary behind Moore Legacy Holdings, featured on Forbes' 30 Under 30, keynote speaker at Harvard Business School, stood there, being treated like a trespasser in her own empire. She could have yelled. She could have flashed her bank credentials, called her lawyer, or dropped a name. But she didn't. Instead, she gathered her composure, her voice low and sharp. "Call your general manager," she said again, this time leaving no room for refusal. The receptionist sighed dramatically. "Fine." She picked up the phone, dialing with exaggerated slowness. "Mr. Walsh?" "Yeah, there's a woman here claiming she's, the owner." She rolled her eyes as she spoke. "Yeah, black woman, trench coat, says her name's Vanessa Moore." Vanessa caught that inflection, how she said black woman, as if it explained everything. A few seconds later, the receptionist's face shifted. Surprise flickered. Yes, sir." "Yes, she's right here." She looked up, pale now. He says to let him speak to you." Vanessa took the receiver. "Henry?" A flustered voice came through. "Miss Moore?" "My God, welcome back. I had no idea you were coming in tonight." "I wanted it that way," she said coolly. "But it seems I wasn't welcome." There was silence. Then panic. I'll be right down." By the time Henry Walsh arrived, the tension in the lobby could have been cut with a knife. He came rushing out of the elevator, tie loosened, sweat on his brow. "Miss Moore," he stammered, extending a hand. "Please forgive." She didn't take it. "Your staff refused to let me check into my own hotel." They laughed at my identification. One even threatened to call security. Every eye in the lobby was on them now. The receptionist froze, color draining from her face. Henry turned on her, furious. Do you have any idea who this is?" The young woman swallowed. I didn't, she didn't look like..." "Didn't look like what?" Vanessa's voice was soft, dangerous. "Didn't look like she could own this place?" The girl's lips trembled. I didn't mean..." "Oh, but you did," Vanessa cut in. "You meant every word, every glance. Every time you decided my worth was less than yours because of the color of my skin and the confidence in my voice." Silence. The rain outside grew louder. Henry opened his mouth to apologize, but Vanessa raised a hand. "Don't. I'll handle it." She turned to the receptionist, then the security guard, then the doorman, all three frozen in shame and fear. 9 minutes, she said. "That's how long it took for 3 of my employees to strip me of my dignity in a building I built from the ground up." Her tone dropped to steel. "In 9 minutes, you've all lost your jobs," the receptionist gasped. "Wait, please, I didn't know." Vanessa didn't flinch. "And that's the problem. You didn't care to know." She handed her card to Henry. "Escort them out. Tonight, their severance will be processed immediately." As the words sank in, the 3 stood stunned. The security guard started to protest, but Henry's expression silenced him. Vanessa turned and began walking toward the elevator, her stride deliberate, her chin high. The lobby was silent except for the echo of her heels, but just as she reached the elevator doors, someone stopped her. From the corner of the lobby, a small, nervous voice spoke. "Ms. Moore?" She turned. A young housekeeper stood near the corridor, holding a tray of towels. Her uniform was slightly too big. Her name tag read Jada. I saw what happened," the girl said quietly. "And I just wanted to say, not everyone here's like that. Some of us, we really look up to you." Vanessa's expression softened for the first time that night. "Thank you," she said. "What's your name?" "Jada, ma'am." "Jada," Vanessa repeated. "How long have you been here?" 6 months. "Good. Then tomorrow, I want you to come to my office. We have work to do." The girl blinked. "Work?" "Yes," Vanessa said, stepping into the elevator. "We're about to rebuild this place from the inside out." The doors began to close, and as they did, the doorman, just fired, just humiliated, pulled out his phone, a dark grin spreading across his face. "Let's see how the internet feels about that," he muttered, hitting record. The video goes viral by morning. The storm had passed, but a different kind of thunder was brewing. The sunlight cut through the glass facade of the Meridian Grand, glinting off its silver signage like the edge of a blade. Vanessa Moore woke in her penthouse suite to the faint buzz of her phone on the nightstand. Ping, ping, ping. She squinted, still half asleep, reaching for it. Dozens of notifications blinked across the screen like a digital heartbeat. Mentions, tags, news alerts, and then she saw it. Her own face, frozen mid-sentence beneath a headline that made her blood run cold. Hotel owner humiliates staff in lobby. Was it racism in reverse? Vanessa sat up. Her pulse quickened as she pressed play. The video opened with a shaky camera, clearly recorded from a phone. The caption read, "Black woman claims she owns the hotel," then fires the entire staff on the spot. The footage was cropped and edited, the beginning of the confrontation missing. It started right after she said the words, "You've all lost your jobs." Out of context, it looked brutal. Vanessa's voice, sharp, cold, decisive, rang through the echoing marble lobby. The comments were already swarming. "This is unprofessional and abusive." Who does she think she is? They were just doing their job. So she owns it? Prove it. Her stomach twisted. She scrolled further. Thousands of shares, screenshots, reaction videos. Even local news anchors were quoting it. Someone had turned her righteous fury into a public execution. By 8:30 a.m., her PR manager Darius was at her door, eyes wide behind his glasses. "Vanessa, you've gone viral," he said without even greeting her. "And not in the good way." "I've seen it," she replied, voice calm but laced with exhaustion. "They're painting me like a monster." Darius opened his tablet and swiped through headlines. "You're trending on every major platform. Hotel owner meltdown is at 50,000 tweets. The videos hit 2 million views in 12 hours. Vanessa exhaled, rubbing her temples. And no one thought to ask what actually happened before the camera started rolling. "That's the internet," Darius said grimly. "They don't want context. They want outrage." He placed the tablet on the table between them, showing a still frame from the video. Vanessa's hand raised, her expression fierce. "This image," he said, "is power taken out of context." She looked away. "What about the staff?" "Gone," Darius replied. "You meant it, remember?" "They packed up last night." "Good," she said. Then softer, "But I don't want this hotel to become the symbol of everything people think I stand for." He nodded. "Then we'll fix it. We just need the truth. Tell me everything, from the moment you walked in." By noon, the lobby that had once shimmered with prestige was filled with murmurs. Guests whispered, phones out, some secretly taking photos. The front desk was manned by temporary replacements, polite, nervous, unsure. The air was tense, as if everyone was waiting for a spectacle. Vanessa descended from the elevator, every step deliberate. She wore white, clean, sharp, composed. Her armor. Henry Walsh, the general manager, hurried to meet her. "Ms. Moore, Don't apologize again, Henry," she said quietly. "We need to manage this before it manages us." He nodded, falling into step beside her. The local news called. "They want a statement." "They'll get one," she said. "But not today." They stopped at the center of the lobby, the very spot where it happened. The marble floor still carried faint scuff marks from that night. The memory hit her like a ghost. The laughter, the disbelief, the quiet humiliation that burned behind her calm facade. Henry cleared his throat. "Should we release the security footage? It shows the truth." Vanessa paused. "And risk turning it into a bigger media circus?" "No, not yet. First, I need to understand who leaked the video." Meanwhile, across town in a small cafe crowded with morning chatter, the doorman, Marcus, sat with his phone propped up against a coffee cup, watching the same video for the 100th time. He smiled, a bitter, self-satisfied smirk. The clip had gone viral overnight. His followers had tripled. Some called him brave for exposing corporate cruelty. Others called him a fool. But he didn't care. All he cared about was the part that still stung, the way she had looked at him, with calm certainty, and said the words, "You've lost your job." He replayed that moment. "Not so powerful now, are you?" He muttered to himself. Let's see how long you keep your empire. His friend, leaning over, asked, You really think this'll stick? Oh, it'll stick, Marcus said, pocketing his phone. She messed with the wrong people's image of themselves. They'll eat her alive for it. He wasn't wrong. By evening, the first protesters appeared outside the hotel. Small at first, just a handful of locals holding cardboard signs. Justice for the workers. Boycott Meridian Grand. But it grew quickly. The story had spread beyond Atlanta. Talk shows debated it. Bloggers wrote essays. Activists twisted it into a narrative about elitist CEOs abusing power. The real story, the discrimination, the humiliation she faced, was buried beneath the noise. From her office window on the top floor, Vanessa watched the crowd gather below. She stood still for a long time, her hands resting on the glass. Darius entered quietly behind her. It's getting worse, he said. They want a live apology. Vanessa didn't move. They want blood, not truth. Then give them truth, he said. You've faced worse. She turned, her expression steady but shadowed. Not like this, Darius. I built this hotel to prove that we could rise above the narratives written for us. And now they're rewriting me as the villain in my own story. He stepped closer. Then we take the pen back. Her eyes flickered, defiant, unbroken. Yes, she whispered. We do. The next morning, Vanessa walked through the hotel like a storm contained in silence. Cameras flashed from outside. Guests murmured. But she didn't falter. She stopped at the front desk where a new receptionist, clearly terrified, fumbled with her keyboard. Vanessa smiled gently. Relax, she said. You're doing fine. The young woman exhaled shakily, nodding. Vanessa continued toward the staff offices, where Jada, the housekeeper from the night before, waited nervously. She rose the moment Vanessa entered. Ms. Moore, you said to come. Yes, Vanessa said, gesturing for her to sit. I saw what you did last night. You stood up when no one else did. That takes courage. Jada looked stunned. I couldn't stay quiet. I've seen things here before. How they treat people who look like us. Vanessa nodded slowly. I know. That's why I came back unannounced. To see what this place had become without me? She paused. And now I want your help to rebuild it. Me? Jada blinked. I'm just housekeeping. You're more than that, Vanessa said. You see things no one else does. You know the truth from the ground up. And that's exactly what I need. Jada hesitated, then nodded. Okay, whatever you need. Good, Vanessa said, because I have a feeling we're going to war. That night, as the city lights bled into the horizon, Vanessa sat at her desk with her laptop open. She drafted a statement, not for the media, not for damage control, but for herself. I didn't fire those employees because they disrespected me. I fired them because they disrespected humanity. Every time we allow prejudice to stand unchallenged, we rebuild the walls we claim to have torn down. I won't apologize for demanding better, from others and from the world. She stared at the words. Then she deleted them. Not yet. The world wasn't ready for her truth. They wanted drama, not integrity, but something inside her shifted. She realized she wasn't just fighting to save her reputation, she was fighting to reclaim her narrative. And deep down, she sensed something darker. The video wasn't random. Someone wanted to destroy her. She opened the internal security logs. Access history, camera records, network traces. Then she saw it, a name she hadn't seen in 2 years. A name she thought she'd left behind. Richard Halston. Former COO, former ally, former betrayer. Vanessa leaned back in her chair, eyes narrowing. So that's how we're playing this, she whispered. Down in the lobby, a man in a gray suit stood watching from the bar. He smiled as he saw her silhouette in the window above. Then he lifted his phone and sent a single text. She's taking the bait. The betrayal unfolds. The city slept restlessly under the hum of streetlights, but Vanessa Moore did not. Her office, perched above the twinkling skyline of Atlanta, glowed like the eye of a storm. The clock ticked past 2 a.m., but she was still there, eyes fixed on her laptop, the name Richard Halston glaring back from her screen. For a moment, the world fell silent. Just her and that name, like a ghost resurrected. 2 years ago, Richard had been her right hand, the polished, silver-tongued executive who helped her expand Moore Legacy Holdings into a multi-million-dollar empire. He was brilliant, calculating, persuasive, and dangerous. When she discovered the quiet embezzlement of company funds under his watch, she fired him without hesitation. No press, no lawsuit, just exile, and now he was back, lurking in the shadows of her downfall. The next morning, sunlight spilled through her office windows, slicing across her desk like truth cutting through denial. Vanessa stood by the window, phone to her ear. "Darius," she said, voice steady. "I found something." Richard Halston had access to the internal network. "He's behind this," Darius's voice crackled through the line. "How can you be sure?" "Because the video that went viral, it wasn't just filmed. It was edited using our own surveillance data. Someone used internal footage and spliced it with that phone recording. Only an insider could have done that." A pause. Then, "My God, you think he's trying to destroy you?" "I don't think," she said coldly. "I know." By noon, she was in motion. Meetings, calls, quiet investigations. Henry Walsh came to her office with files in hand. "We ran an audit of employee communications. Richard's been contacting some of our staff, offering jobs at his new firm. It's called Halston Capital Group." Vanessa's jaw tightened. "So he's poaching them." "Worse," Henry said, lowering his voice. "He's telling them you're planning to sell the Meridian." "That you're going to cut everyone loose." Her eyes hardened. "And they believe him?" Henry hesitated. "Some of them, yes. He's feeding on their fear." Vanessa turned to the window again, looking out at the city she'd fought to claim. "Then we'll take his fear and make it our weapon." Later that day, she met Jada in the hotel's service corridor, the beating heart of operations where few executives ever stepped. Pipes hissed overhead. The scent of detergent and steam filled the air. "Everything okay, Ms. Moore?" Jada asked, clutching her clipboard. "People are whispering about layoffs." Vanessa gave a tired smile. "That's exactly what he wants. But listen to me, Jada. Don't believe anything unless it comes directly from me." "I don't," Jada said. "But others do. Some of them think you only care about your image." Vanessa nodded slowly. "Then I'll show them the truth." "You trust me?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good," Vanessa said. "Because you're about to help me expose the biggest lie this company's ever faced." Hours later, under the dim light of her private conference room, Vanessa spread out a series of printouts, emails, invoices, and call logs connecting Richard to a network of fake accounts and media leaks. The pattern was unmistakable. Darius leaned over her shoulder. "He's been laying the groundwork for months. Anonymous tips to journalists, bot accounts spreading the story. He wants to destroy your credibility before launching his new brand." Vanessa's voice was low, trembling with controlled fury. "He's weaponizing perception." "Exactly. You don't have to win the truth anymore. You just have to win the narrative." She slammed her palm on the table. "Then let's take back the narrative." Darius gave her a sharp look. "How?" Vanessa's eyes burned with resolve. "We go public, but on our terms." The next morning, the Meridian Grand's ballroom was packed. Cameras lined the back wall, reporters filled every seat, and the air buzzed with anticipation. Vanessa walked onto the stage, immaculate in a crimson suit that commanded the room. The same woman who had been painted as cold and ruthless online now stood tall, radiating unshakable calm. "Good morning," she began, her voice steady. "I know why you're all here. You've seen the video, you've read the headlines, but none of you know the truth." A murmur rippled through the room. She continued. 2 nights ago, I walked into this hotel, the hotel I built from the ground up, and I was denied a room because the staff didn't believe a black woman could own a place like this." Cameras clicked. Some reporters froze mid-note. "I didn't fire them because of a misunderstanding," she said. "I fired them because of what that moment represented, an everyday cruelty that millions face silently. The assumption that success looks one way. That ownership has a color." Her voice rose with each word. "I built this company to challenge those assumptions, to create opportunity, To make sure no one is ever told they don't belong? A hush fell over the crowd. Vanessa paused, then looked directly at the cameras. But what you didn't see, she said, her tone sharpening, was the hand behind the curtain, the one who turned justice into scandal, the one who wants this company to fall. She turned to the projector screen behind her. The lights dimmed. An email thread appeared between Richard Halston and a journalist known for viral exposés. The subject line, "Moore's meltdown, exclusive footage incoming." Gasps filled the room. "Meet Richard Halston," she said evenly. "Former COO, fired for financial misconduct. The man who has spent the last year sabotaging my company from the shadows." The audience erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Vanessa simply smiled. "You wanted the truth," she said. "Now you have it." By evening, the story had flipped. News anchors replayed her speech with reverence. Hashtags shifted. "Stand with Vanessa" replaced "Urbi hotel owner meltdown." Her bravery, her calm defiance, became viral inspiration. But Richard wasn't done. That night, in a private boardroom downtown, Richard Halston watched the broadcast with cold amusement. Around him sat two other executives, his new partners. "Well," one of them muttered, "she hit back harder than we thought." Richard leaned back, smirking. "Let her enjoy her 15 minutes. I've still got her where I want her. How?" the other asked. Richard tapped a folder on the table. "Because in 3 days, her auditors will find something they can't explain. And this time, no speech will save her." He slid the folder open. Inside was a single document, an official statement from the bank, showing a transfer from Moore Legacy Holdings to a numbered offshore account, a transfer that appeared to come from Vanessa herself. Back at the hotel, Vanessa stood on her balcony, feeling, for the first time in days, a breath of relief. The city shimmered beneath her, alive, forgiving. Maybe, just maybe, she had turned the tide. Her phone buzzed. A message from Darius. "Urgent. You need to see this. Someone just leaked financial records under your name." She froze. Another message followed. "They're saying you laundered money through a shell company. It's everywhere." Her hand tightened around the phone. The world around her seemed to tilt. The hum of the city faded to a whisper. "No," she breathed. "No, that's impossible." But the headlines were already spreading. Breaking. Vanessa Moore, accused of fraud and embezzlement. Hotel hero or hypocrite? The truth she had just reclaimed was slipping away again. Faster, sharper, crueler. And somewhere across town, Richard Halston raised a glass of bourbon and smiled. "Round 2, he whispered. "Let's see how she handles this." The fall and the fire. The world fell apart in a single day. By noon, the same networks that had once praised Vanessa Moore for her powerful speech now tore her apart with surgical precision. Hotel queen caught in financial scandal. Fraud allegations shake Moore legacy. Holdings. From inspiration to indictment, each headline was a dagger twisting deeper into her name. Every photo of her was frozen mid-expression, eyes fierce, mouth set, captured to look defiant, guilty, proud. The internet didn't want truth anymore. It wanted spectacle. Vanessa stood in her office as the chaos unfolded. Her phone buzzed non-stop, calls from lawyers, journalists, board members. She didn't answer any of them. Darius stormed in, face pale. "The bank statements, they're fake, Vanessa." "We've confirmed it. The account numbers don't match any of your holdings." She looked up, eyes hollow. "Then why does the media have them before we do?" "Because someone inside leaked it," Darius said bitterly. "Richard's fingerprints are all over this. He's framing you and the public's eating it up." Vanessa's voice was low. "How bad is it?" He hesitated. "Half our investors have frozen their shares. The Meridian's board is calling for your suspension pending investigation." "They want to distance themselves?" "Distance?" She gave a mirthless laugh. "They wouldn't have a company without me." Darius lowered his gaze. "I know, but right now they're scared. And scared people turn on whoever's standing tallest." That afternoon, Vanessa was summoned to an emergency board meeting. The long mahogany table gleamed beneath the cold lights, surrounded by faces she once trusted, now tight with unease and judgment. Henry Walsh sat to her right, shifting uncomfortably. "Ms. Moore," he began softly, "this isn't personal. The board just wants reassurance that I'm not a criminal," she finished, her tone sharp. "Then perhaps you should start by asking why these documents exist, not assuming they're real." Across the table, a silver-haired board member, Eleanor Shaw, folded her hands. "Vanessa, perception is reality in business. Whether these allegations are true or not, the damage is done." Vanessa leaned forward. "Perception isn't reality. It's manipulation. You all know me. You know what I built. You think I'd risk everything for money?" Eleanor's expression softened but stayed guarded. "We've brought in an independent audit. Until this is cleared, the board recommends that you step down temporarily." The words hit like a hammer. "Step down?" Vanessa repeated. "You mean surrender?" "It's only until the investigation concludes," another board member said. "We need to protect the company's reputation." Vanessa rose slowly, the air thick with silence. "The company's reputation is my reputation," she said. "And if you think I'm walking away while someone tears it apart, you've all forgotten who made this empire possible." No one met her eyes. She turned and walked out. The storm outside matched the one inside her. Thunder rolled through the city as Vanessa drove home, the wipers struggling against sheets of rain. Her phone buzzed again, this time a call from her mother. She hesitated before answering. "Baby," her mother's voice came softly. "I saw the news." "What's happening?" Vanessa's throat tightened. "It's lies, Mama, all of it." "I know it is," her mother said gently. "But lies have long legs when truth walks slow." "You've got to outlast them." "I'm trying," Vanessa whispered. "But it's like fighting shadows." "Then turn on the light," her mother said. "Don't hide. Don't break. The fire that built you. Let it burn again." Tears blurred Vanessa's vision. "I don't know if I have any fire left." Her mother's voice was firm now. "You do. I raised you on it." The next morning, Vanessa's face was everywhere. TV screens in airports, newsstands, talk shows dissecting her every move. They called her arrogant, ruthless, entitled. She sat alone in her penthouse, the city stretching endlessly beyond the glass, and for the first time, she allowed herself to feel the weight of it all. Her phone buzzed again. Another headline alert. "Former employees speak out against Vanessa Moore." She opened it. There was Marcus, the doorman she had fired, now sitting in a studio playing the victim. His voice trembled for the cameras. "She humiliated us." "We were just doing our jobs." Then she made it all about race. Vanessa's hand clenched around her phone. "He's lying," she muttered, but the damage was already done. People loved a redemption story, but they adored a fall. That evening, Darius arrived unannounced. He found her sitting by the window, still in yesterday's clothes. "Vanessa," he said softly, "you can't stay like this. We can fight back, but we need to be strategic." She didn't turn to look at him. "They took everything, Darius." "My name, my company, my integrity." He knelt beside her chair. "Then we take it back." "Piece by piece." Her eyes met his finally, tired but burning. "What do we have?" "I traced the bank transfer logs," Darius said. "Whoever forged your signature used a ghost server registered in the Cayman Islands. But here's the thing. Someone accessed our internal financial system from an IP address inside this hotel 2 nights before the leak." Vanessa's brow furrowed. "Inside this hotel?" "Yes," he said. "Someone close. Someone feeding Richard your data." Her mind raced. "Then find out who." Darius nodded. "Already on it." Hours later, the hotel's internal security office glowed under fluorescent lights. Vanessa stood beside Jada, who was helping comb through access logs. "Here," Jada said, pointing at the screen. "Look at this. Someone used a maintenance login to access restricted servers. The ID was temporary, created last week. Who approved it?" Vanessa asked. Jada hesitated, scrolling. "It says Henry Walsh." Vanessa's heart dropped. No, that can't be right. Henry had been with her since the beginning. Loyal, steady, devoted. But the evidence was right there. Jada looked up nervously. "You think he's working with Richard?" Vanessa didn't answer. She was already turning toward the door. Henry's office was dark, save for the faint light from his computer screen. He looked up when she entered, startled. "Vanessa, don't!" she said sharply. "Just tell me the truth. Did you give Richard access to my systems?" His face drained of color. "What? No! I would never." "Then why does your authorization code appear on every breach in the last month?" He froze. Someone must have cloned my credentials." Vanessa's voice trembled. "Henry, look me in the eye and tell me you didn't betray me." He met her gaze for a long, painful moment, then looked away. She stepped closer. "You knew what he was doing?" "I didn't want to," Henry said quietly. "But he had leverage. He threatened my family, my daughter's scholarship. You funded it through the Moore Foundation. He said if I didn't help him, he'd destroy her future and yours." Vanessa's expression softened for a fraction of a second, pain cutting through anger. "So you destroyed me to protect her?" Tears welled in his eyes. "I thought I could stop him before it went too far." "I was wrong. You were," she said coldly. "And now we all pay the price." The air between them crackled with silence. Finally, Vanessa turned to leave. "You're going to fix this, Henry. You're going to help me bring him down." He nodded weakly. "I'll do whatever it takes." As she walked out, her phone buzzed again, another alert. This one wasn't a headline. It was a private message. From an anonymous number. "You're getting too close. Stop digging, or next time it won't just be your reputation." Vanessa's eyes narrowed. The fire her mother spoke of reignited in her chest. Steady, fierce, alive. She typed a single reply. "Tell Richard I'm just getting started." Then she lifted her head, shoulders squaring against the storm. Her empire might have been burning, but from ashes, flames rise higher, and Vanessa Moore was born for the fire. The Reckoning, final part. The city's heartbeat had slowed by midnight, but inside the Meridian Grand, the air burned electric. Vanessa Moore stood at the center of her empire. Once a monument of triumph, now the battlefield of her survival. Every chandelier shimmered above her like a silent jury. She had lost her name, her company, and nearly her faith. But she was not finished, because the truth, she now knew, was still alive, and it was on her side. 3 days had passed since the message. "Stop digging, or next time it won't just be your reputation." Vanessa hadn't stopped. She'd barely slept. Her office had become a war room, laptops open, documents scattered, coffee gone cold. Across from her, Darius worked furiously on 2 computers at once, tracing IP trails and cross-referencing data. "We're close," he muttered. "The dummy account Richard used? It's hosted through an offshore proxy, but it loops through a stateside relay, Atlanta-based." Vanessa leaned in. "Where?" He hesitated. "It's registered under a private security firm. Halston Holdings," she smiled, a small, dangerous smile. "He couldn't resist putting his name on it." Jada, sitting quietly in the corner, looked up. "So what do we do now?" Vanessa stood, her silhouette framed by the city lights. "Now," she said, "we make him confess, publicly." The next evening, a charity gala glittered at the Regal Continental Hotel downtown, a celebration of local business leaders. Reporters swarmed the red carpet, flashes popping like lightning, and at the center of it all, basking in attention, was Richard Halston, tailored suit, smug grin, drink in hand. Vanessa watched him from the crowd. She wore black this time, sleek and understated, her hair pulled back. She looked like power refined to silence. "Are you sure about this?" Darius whispered beside her. "Once you go in, there's no turning back." "I'm not turning back," she said. "I'm taking back what's mine." Inside the ballroom, laughter sparkled like champagne. Richard was mid-conversation when he saw her. His smirk faltered. "Well," he said smoothly, recovering, "if it isn't the woman of the hour. Come to toast your downfall." Vanessa's eyes glinted. "Actually, I came to end it." Richard laughed softly, still dramatic as ever. She stepped closer, her tone icy calm. "You used my company's system. You forged transfers. You leaked fake documents. And now you're going to admit it," he chuckled. "And why would I do that?" "Because I brought friends," she said, and gestured toward the side door, Two journalists stepped in, cameras already rolling. Behind them came Darius, holding a small device blinking red. Richard's smile froze. Vanessa tilted her head. "You remember this conference room, don't you? Where you told me perception was everything? Let's see how the world perceives you now." Richard straightened his tie, his voice suddenly low. "You wouldn't dare." "Oh, I would," she said softly. "You leaked edited footage to destroy me. Let's see how you handle unedited truth." He glanced toward the cameras. "This is ridiculous," but Vanessa raised a hand and Darius pressed a key. A projection lit up on the ballroom's massive screen. A recording, audio, and video played before everyone. It was Henry Walsh's confession, recorded the night before. "He blackmailed me. He made me leak company data. Said if I didn't, he'd ruin both of us. The money transfers. They were fabricated by him. He had full access to the financial servers. I have proof." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Richard's face drained of color. "You think anyone's going to believe?" "Oh, I don't think," Vanessa said, stepping forward. "I know, because we also pulled metadata from your server. Every transfer you faked was time-stamped under your own username." A reporter shouted, "Mr. Halston, care to comment?" Flashbulbs exploded. Richard's composure crumbled. He turned to leave, but security blocked the doors. Vanessa's voice was low and steady. "You tried to bury me with lies, Richard. But you forgot. I built this company on truth, and truth doesn't stay buried for long." By dawn, the headlines had flipped again. Richard: Halston arrested for corporate fraud. Vanessa Moore: vindicated. From victim to victor, the rise of a relentless woman. The footage of the gala went viral. Viewers around the world watched Vanessa standing tall as Richard was escorted out, his face hidden, hers radiant with quiet triumph. But victory wasn't just in clearing her name, it was in what she chose to do next. A week later, the Meridian Grand reopened under new banners. The lobby, once filled with whispers and judgment, now hummed with warmth and renewal. Fresh flowers, smiling staff, and a new plaque on the wall engraved with her words, "Respect is not a courtesy, it is a requirement." Vanessa walked through the lobby as guests greeted her with genuine admiration. Behind the front desk stood Jada, now wearing a new badge, Guest Relations Supervisor. "Big day," Jada said, smiling. "You ready?" Vanessa returned the smile. "I was born ready." She stepped to the podium as cameras clicked and reporters waited. "2 weeks ago," she began, "I was told to step down, that my name had become poison. That perception mattered more than truth. But I stand here to tell you, truth always wins, even when the world isn't watching." The room was silent, hanging on every word. "I didn't build this place to be a symbol of luxury. I built it to be a symbol of resilience, to remind every woman who's been told she doesn't belong, every person who's been underestimated. Your worth is not decided by those who doubt you." Applause rose like thunder. "And as of today," she continued, her voice firm, "the Meridian Grand will sponsor a new initiative, the Open Door program, to train, hire, and uplift marginalized workers in hospitality. No one will ever be denied opportunity or dignity under this roof again." As the applause swelled, Vanessa's gaze drifted upward to the chandelier, its crystals catching the light like falling tears. She thought of the night she stood right there, humiliated and furious, of the rain, the stares, the disbelief, of the fire that nearly consumed her, and the strength that came from walking through it. Darius approached quietly, pride in his eyes. "You did it," he said. Vanessa smiled faintly. "No," she said. "We did it. Every person who's ever been told they weren't enough, this win is theirs too." She turned toward the crowd one last time, her heart steady, her purpose clear. "Sometimes," she said softly, "life will deny you a room in the house you built. When that happens, don't beg for the key. Build another door and walk through it." The crowd erupted in applause. Cameras flashed. Somewhere outside, the sun broke through the clouds, flooding the lobby in gold. And as Vanessa Moore stood beneath her own name carved in marble, she smiled, not with triumph, but with peace. Because the woman they had tried to silence had become the voice of every person who'd ever been dismissed, doubted, or denied, and this time, no one would ever shut her out again.